Hey everybody, Ross Bagurtis here, and I want to talk to you about a new utility from the WireSHARK Foundation called StratoShark. Now, instead of talking about what it is, I thought I'd just give you a demonstration of it. StratoShark is going to allow us to analyze system calls on our Linux servers. To get the captures for this demo, I have my two SSH sessions opened to my web server. On one of them, I'm going to run the Sysdig command to capture traffic for the system calls. Now, if you're a network nerd like me, you might be wondering what a system call is. System calls are messages sent between software like Apache and the operating system inside of a server, much like packets are sent out on a network. So we're going to use StratoShark to analyze our system calls and Sysdig to capture those system calls, much like we can use TCP dump to capture packets and WireSHARK to analyze them. So then in the other SSH session here, we're going to run TCP dump to capture this session. After I get those running, we're going to go to my web browser here, browse to 192.168.2.80, click on my link. Let's roll. Just going to bring up a Rick Astley picture here. You can stop these captures. Now let's go take a look. I've copied down my two captures. I have StratoShark open on the top for the Sysdig capture, and I have WireSHARK open on the bottom for the TCP dump. Now I've already filtered this down so that it is just the TCP conversation between my workstation and the server. And I have also changed the time in both StratoShark and WireSHARK so that we are seeing the time of day that these are captured so that we can compare the event in WireSHARK to the event in StratoShark. To do that, I just went up to View, Time Display Format, Time of Day. So let's get started. We are not going to see the three-way handshake in StratoShark. And the reason is that three-way handshake is happening at the kernel level. There's no systems calls for that. System calls we're only going to see for applications interacting with other stuff on that server. So we are going to see, though, this GET request for HTTP 1.1. We're saying, hey, get me the website. That's happening at 9:43:13.23284. Well, if I look here, right now I'm at 9:42:52 in my capture. So let's make this easier to get to that event. So what I do is I just click on any of these events in StratoShark. I open up system event, and then I can drag arrival time up into my display filter. I'm going to change this to be greater than, and then I'm going to change my time here from 42:52 to 43:13.2. So now we'll see anything greater than that time, which will get us real close to the event here. Now we can see Apache starting to kick in here right about the time we make this GET request. So here it's 0.23284. Here is 0.23297. So shortly after the server receives that GET request, we see this epoll_wait event, part of Apache, happening here. And this is the kernel telling Apache, hey, you have this socket open, and now there's an event for you to process. It then goes through this accept process, and we can see here it accepting the connection from my workstation at 192.168.2.30 to my server at 2.80. And then if we scroll down a little bit more, we can actually see our GET request. So here is the GET request itself being read into the Apache system. It's saying, okay, we have to find where the website is. After that, we can see Apache using this stat event looking for the website, and it's looking through its configuration files, locating the particular website that my client is asking for. It finds it at var www Bagurtis Technology, and then it finds the index.html file. It opens that up here with the open AT event, and then later on, we're going to see it being write v'd. And the write v is when we take that index.html file and actually send it down to the network stack to send it out on the wire. So these times should correlate here 4313.234.615. And if we look at when that was sent, it's right here in packet 18.234647. So this write V event, when that begins, that is when we begin sending this out onto the wire. That write V event wraps up, and we then close our index.html file in Apache. Now, we're going to be able to see this happening again and again and again for each of our GET requests, including the under construction, the fave icon, and when I click that link. And we can actually create another filter here, which I've pre-saved in here, so that we can quickly get to it, where I look for only the events that are read events, write V events, and then under Apache 2. And here we can see and correlate all those events. Here's my GET request for the under construction GIF. That's that 90s icon there that I put on my website. We can see that happening here. We can also see when I click the link that says let's roll, we can see that that's asking for image1.jpg. So when I click that let's roll, it's asking for image1, which gives us this nice picture of Rick Astley. And we can correlate all these events that we see in our packet capture directly back to events that are happening in Apache in our systems calls. Hopefully you have a better understanding now of how StratoShark works and its value. We looked directly at how this might benefit a system administrator who's trying to troubleshoot an issue on a Linux server relative to some network packets coming into that server. Additionally, this might be useful for developers trying to troubleshoot or debug their application and trying to find out what system calls are used inside of the server during their application troubleshooting. Now, I've made a couple links to this video. One of them is directly to the StratoShark.org website, where you can download StratoShark and install it. There's also a link there to the Josh Clark blog post, the one that I actually followed, to install both Sysdig and StratoShark on my systems. Additionally, watch for more videos about this coming out in the upcoming weeks and months. And last, if you are a developer and you find StratoShark useful and you want to contribute to the project, check out the StratoShark Discord server, where there's a link on StratoShark.org. Thanks for watching. I'm Ross Bagurtis.